Good day everyone. Today we're going to look at how we can emulate radio buttons in Figma. Radio button is one of the HTML form elements. Just like we have input, we have text area, and we have a checkbox. These two buttons, the radio button and checkbox, are used similarly. But the difference between them is that radio button is used to select a single option out of many options, while checkbox is used to select multiple options out of the list of options provided. Let's take for example, you are filling a form online and you have to select your gender. So you can only be a male or female or any other gender you recognize, but you cannot be two at a time. So there you find a radio button that will allow you to choose one of them. And the checkbox, for example, you are filling a form online, you are buying a complete dress that has cap, that has eyeglasses, that has marks, for example, that has glove, the shirt, the trousers, the shoe, the wristwatch, and everything that can make a complete dress. You are buying them online. So, and these things comes in package. Now you are now given an option to choose between or the list of the things you want, because as you are adding each of these items in your order, the price is increasing at the total. So you might it might be necessary for you to remove some items. For example, you don't want the eyeglasses, you don't want the wristwatch, so you can remove them, or you can add others that you want. So in that situation, checkbox is used. So using a checkbox, you can select several options. I have flag of countries here that I've created. I have the name of the country by their site. You may also want to get these flags. You can get them online, or if you know how to use plugin on Figma, you can search on this plugin Iconify. So I brought this out by pressing Command. If you are using Windows, just press Control and /. So it will bring this search box and you can search any plugin or any element on your Figma environment. So I'm searching for Iconify and this is it. I'm going to tap enter and I search any country from here. For example, I said Congo and I search. So we have flags of Congo, so we have variants of it, so I can choose any of it. For example, let's say I want to use this circular one. I'll just drag it out and drop it where I want to use it, so I can make use of it. But I'm not needing this. I am just trying to show you how I got it to the Figma environment, so I'm going to delete this. So having known the difference between the checkbox and the radio button, so we are moving to designing or implementing how to emulate this radio button in Figma. So to do this, we have several ways that we can use to do it. For example, we can create screen for each of these, where each of these is selected and where they are not selected. For example, uh, let me have a frame iPhone 13. So like this is a frame and I want to include Nigeria here. I'll just drag Nigeria and put it here like this, and the text, which is white, I'm going to change it to black, for example, like this. So we have this country Nigeria here. So if you're having Nigeria selected here, for example, so definitely we're going to have another one where Nigeria is deselected. So here the country Nigeria is selected. You can see here is it. Let me change the color of this to white so that you can see it very clearly. So, and this also, let me change the color to white so that you can see. So from here Nigeria is selected and here it's not selected. So if we are to use screen for this, so it's going to take a lot of screen because we have to repeat it in the numbers of the countries we are having. So, and that is a bad practice. So I'm going to delete this. I'm going to move this one out like this. So this is what we have. So, but before we go into creating these radio buttons, we have to create variants of the state of our radio buttons. So we have this. I'm going to press Ctrl G because uh, this is just an ellipse. So let me move this one here also. So I'm going to select this and I'll press this, create component. I'm going to use this one also to create component just like this. So I'm going to rename the two of them. So select the two of them, Command R and say radio. So I'm going to say radios like that. So each of these I'm now going to add a slash to it and I say enable. And to this I'm going to add slash and I say disabled. So after that I'm going to select the two of them and I'll come to this place and I say combine as variants. Combine them as variants will make them to be in a component, will make them a component. So let me change this color of this to white. So we have the variant of our radio button now. So the next thing we're going to have is each of these countries, we're going to have them with a radio button. So but before we do that, so I would like to create a frame here like this, and it's going to be 54 or let's say 52 for example. So we have 52, or if we like, let's say 64 instead. So we have this size 64. So, and the size, I mean the width of this thing is according to the width of the frame. So I want to minus 24 from each side so that we have this at the center. So I'm going to go to the width and I'll minus 48 so that we have 24 from each side, and I'm going to put it in the middle like this. So I'm going to fill it with a color. The color is white. So I want to have a shadow so that it shows well. I'm going to spread this shadow a little bit, then increase the blur. So this is what we have. So the corner radius also I'm going to increase it to, let's say, 6. So we're having this here. The text and the flag, I'm going to select the two together and I'll auto layout them, Shift A for auto layout. And we have the space between them, which is 13. I'm going to reduce it to 12. So like this. So I'm going to drag this in here, make it like this. Then from this side, so I want to have 12 like this. I'm going to copy one of these, which is the inactive one, Command C. I'm going to paste it here, Command V. So I'm sending it to the right, going to minus 16 from the right like this. So why I minus 16 from this and I minus 12 from this is that when we select this Nigeria, this element, we can see the space between this color and this. So we're having space here. So that's why I give that 12 and I give this one 16 so that we have an even space between them. So we have this like that. So I'm going to centralize this. So it's okay. So having done this, I'm going to auto layout each of these also. Shift A, select them and press Shift A, highlight them, Shift A, highlight them, Shift A, highlight them, Shift A. So like this. Now I'm going to, let's look at this color. This color is 45. So I'm going to select each of the text we're having here. I'm going to give them 45. So let us start. So I'm copying this 16 pixel. So I'm going Command D to repeat the copy. So I'm cutting each of these. Command X, replace this. Shift Command R, Command X, Shift Command R, Command S. So I think this one is 13. So I'm going to select the ones I just pasted here, select them, and make sure the space between them is 12, just like we have it here, which is 12. So these are the states whereby none of this is selected. So if, for example, Nigeria is tapped, so this will come like this and say, okay, Nigeria has been selected. And we can equally add some other colors to Nigeria here to show that, okay, this has been selected. But we're not going to do that now. So I'm going to Command Z to undo what I just did here. So I've done that. So the next thing is to design the components of the countries. So let me just rename all this country. Let us say this one. I'm going to copy them out like this. So say Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, USA, UK, and India. So we have this country name. So I'm going to select all of this and put them in a frame. Selecting everything, I'll just press Command Alt on my keyboard and I'll press G to put them in a frame directly. So you can also do Ctrl G after selecting them, or Command G to group them after selecting them, and come to where we have frame here and change them to whether you want to select frame, group, and so I did that to give them frame directly. So now this is default state of this. Let me say country here. So this is the default state of our radio button. So all of our options where we have to select one. So I'm going to move this here. And I'm going to create more of it like this. So I'll press Ctrl D to have like this 6. This should be 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 6 options. So this will be the default. That's why we're having 7. So this will be the default. Whenever we select any options here, then it changes. So the first country we are having here should be Nigeria. So I'm going to name this to Nigeria. So this, so Ghana, and this is SA, South Africa, and this is US, United States, and this is UK, United Kingdom, and this is India. So we have the countries rename. So where we are renaming the countries, the options is that to have a good reference. So if we leave them to have same name, so there will be conflict when we are creating components. So we don't want that to happen. So after doing all these things, I can simply convert each of these to components and then combine them as variants. Or I can select all of them like this and do create component set. So this will automatically turn them to components and put them in a bigger component so that we can change from each of them to another. So I'm going to click on this So we have this component 53. I'm going to rename it to country select, like this. So the next thing I'm going to do is to connect each of these to the first one here. Note this very clearly, please. So this is where you have to give your attention very well. So I'm going to connect each of these to their respective countries. For example, the first one here is Nigeria. So I'm going to prototype and I will create a link between here to Nigeria. That's the connection. So that is done. So I will do for the rest also to their corresponding countries. The first one, I think it's coming here. It's coming here. And that's it, India. It's coming here. So if we go into deselect everything, we'll see each of them as pointed to where their country is. So having done this, the next thing I'm going to do, I'll go to design mode back, select each of these. So I've selected them. What I actually want to do is that I want to delete all the options we're having inside them. So I've selected the frame of each country. I'm going to press enter to select the inner objects or the inner elements inside the frame. So I have selected the countries like this, so I'm going to delete. So all the countries have been deleted. Well, you can see when I hover mouse on the screen, you can, let me change the color of my background so you can see very well. So if I hover on the screen, you can see we still have those frames. So the first one here that is being connected, because we go back to this, you can see we still have the connection. So I'm going to select the first one that has been connected. I'm going to press enter to select the contents inside. So I'm going to press Ctrl C or Command C, then select all this frame that I've deleted their elements, and I'll paste the element that I just copied, Command V. So you can see our elements have come back. So if I go to prototype mode, you can see we now have many connections. So when I copied, the one I copied from here has connections. So the connection that it has will be copied alongside the elements. So and will point directly to where they are pointing to initially from this. So that's why we have these several connections. Everything is being connected like that. So the next thing we are going to do, if you remember, we created the components, the variants of these things. So this will make it very easier for us to manipulate them. So I'm going to hold down my command, select for each of the country. I hold down my command and shift. So to select for each of the country. So I'm selecting like this. So I cannot change this something now because I just selected what we have inside the component. So I'm going to press my pipe button, the pipe on your keyboard. So the pipe and backward slash are together. So I'm going to press it to select the main frame that contains the object inside. So when you come to component property here, I have enable. Okay, that should be disabled. So I'm going to change it to this so that each of them now have enabled. So that's what we have. So I made a mistake in naming these things. So this should be disable and this should be enable. So I've renamed them so the effect will also take place in our something here. So Nigeria is enabled here while it is disabled here. So that's okay. Now everything is done. So what I will do is whatever I have here, I'm going to delete them. So and I'll copy the default one here, the default country where nothing is selected. I'm going to copy it, Command C, and I'll paste this in our frame, Command V. So you don't drag a component from its frame. You don't drag them out. When you drag them out, there are no more variants of that component. So you have to be very careful. So the best way to do it is to just click, right click and copy, or whenever you click, just press Command C or Control C from your keyboard to copy, then paste it in your frame. So this is been pasted. So the next thing we're going to do, so I want to add some text here. I said select country. So that is select countries. I'm going to increase this to 24 pixels. So I love Lato, so I'm going to make it extra bold, and this is not going to be 40. 32 is okay. Select country. So the distance between these two, let me make it 64. It's okay. So to practice what we've done, I'll go to prototype. Let's go to settings. So the phone we're having is iPhone 13, though it's still okay. So the setting is okay. And here I will add a starting flow so that I'll be able to play the flow from here. So this is what we've been doing. So when you click outside, you can see the Figma is giving you a sign that these are the area you can tap or you can click to have effect. So if I click on Nigeria, Nigeria is selected, Ghana, South Africa, United States, come back, India. So by doing so, you can click on any of these things and it will react automatically, selecting one of them. So many of UI UX designers find it very difficult to implement this, and it's very simple when you use components. It's very simple. If you are using frame, you're going to use a lot of frame to do this, but using components to make it very easier for you. So this is all we are trying to learn, and thank you for your time. If you are new to this channel, please support me with a subscription and like and share. God bless you.